Here I am with a 2.5-year-old Dutch Warmblood. He's almost 2.5, like 2 and 4 months. But this is at the place where I went to pick him up on Friday. And he didn't want to load in the trailer over at the barn, so I asked him if I could use their round pen right here. And right here I'm just creating a little bit of groundwork with him, a little bit of direct and drive, being able to move him where I want him and place him where I want him. The trailer's over here to the right. You can't see it. You'll see it in just a moment. But I've been working him out here in the pen just a moment. He didn't really know how to lunge when I started, so kind of taught him all this as I went. But right there I kind of slowed his forward motion down, and now I got him at least acknowledging the trailer. When I first went out there, he wouldn't even go by it. He wouldn't even go by it. He was scared of it and would booger away from it. He's not scared of it he's been done wrong on a trailer. He's scared of it because he's 2.5, and he's never been taught properly to load on a trailer. So right here, we're just putting a little bit of pressure on him. Right there's a pretty good try. If you notice, I only add pressure when he gets his mind off of the trailer. You'll see him right here. Now he's interested. He got one foot there, and he paws it. The reason he's pawing it is the horses need to know. That's their way of testing if something is sturdy. You know, that's the way they check things out. You know, before they walk across ice, if they were out in the wild, they would paw it to see if it was breakable or if it was flimsy or anything. So they need to know if it's going to be stout enough to walk on. So that's the reason they do that. Now he's sniffing. You notice I quit asking when he was sniffing right there. And so we're just kind of, here comes some more pressure. Now you always get regression with progression. So right there now we're starting to get him, he's pawing again, starting to get him to where he really wants to try to please me here. So just pressure and release, just waiting for him to, I almost got 2 feet right there. So you notice how quickly, not bragging on myself, but you notice how quickly you see that rope across his rump. That's because I quit swinging. I quit swinging in mid-flight because I seen that he was trying. He's wanting to do it so badly. Now, I went through this. Here in a minute, you'll see me just lead him on the trailer, and we were running out of time. Well, not really running out of time, but we did want to get back home. And right there, he got the rope under his leg. That was my fault from not paying attention. But you see how he wants to stand crooked right there? That's just another way of saying, no, I don't think I'm going to go on here. I don't think I can. But I just keep adding pressure right here. Here in a minute, I'll take him back out and work him. I think I do it right here just to let him know, hey, trailer's a good place. Out here ain't so good. And like I said, I didn't really have a whole lot to work with because what little bit of direct and drive that I did with him right here was taught right there on the spot. He didn't know much about it. You see a little bit of resistance right there. And there was some horses over there to the right, and you see him looking at him right there. There was his buddies were over there, and every now and then they would take off running, which really didn't help things much. And I think that's where the attitude right now with him is coming from, is he's wanting to run with his buddies. And that's okay. It helped my skills a little bit, and plus it helped him realize that I was the leader. So now I'm just working my way. If you notice how I'm backing up as I lunge him, and I'm getting closer and closer to the trailer as he goes around me. Now we're getting this thing set back up again here to where he has no choice right there but to what? To show interest in that trailer. Now remember, back behind me right there is a bad place to be, so to speak. The trailer is the good place. So that's the way this works right here. And no, before anybody texts and comments on this, I do not believe in bribery. I do not believe in parking that trailer right there where it's at and leaving him in that round pen and letting him stay in there and use the trailer as a shed or a place to go get his grain. Don't believe in all that. It doesn't work. It does not work. Just trust me on it. It may have worked on a horse in the past, a few horses, but the general concept here of what I'm advocating and what I'm trying to do in this world is teach horsemanship, through horsemanship, not bribery and giving them a treat and feeding them in there. Is he needs to do this because I ask him to, but he needs to do it also because he trusts me, and that's what I'm trying to advocate and teach is trust. I've got a horse in training right now, the Blue Roan. His name is Slate. That's his biggest problem. It's not that he's, bucking me or anybody else off because of anything other than he just simply does not trust people, and he's retaliating in fear, just like this horse here. He's not wanting to go. He's not going on the trailer because he's being a bad horse or stubborn. Is he scared? So I got to keep building that trust in him that he can do it. Now look at there, we're halfway in already. So, and here in just a moment, I'm trying to keep my eye on my timer because I don't want to be talking and the video be finished. But there comes a point right here in a couple minutes that I have to get Burgundy to stop it because I need to talk to the owner for a moment. But here in just a second, I got him loading like that in and out several times just by sending him on. And then I like to do both. I like to get them to where they'll load by sending them on, and I like to get them to load by leading them on and turning them around and backing them off and the whole 9 yards. And he would do it all when I left. But here in just a moment, I just turn around. Another video will start same day, but a couple minutes had went by, and another clip will start, and you'll see me just lead him on there and then lead him back off. Or no, I'm leaving at that point in time. But I did lead him on and lead him off several times, like probably 6 or 7 times. And then I sent him on, just like you're seeing right there, several times. So now I think I go back and I rub him here a little bit. I think I go back and reestablish that outside the trailer is work. And you don't have to do a lot. I used to do a whole lot more of this, but at this point, in this session with this horse, it's just a reminder. You don't have to take him back out there and lunge him till his tongue hangs out. It's just a reminder that out here you got to move. Inside, hey, you get to stand and do nothing. And that's what horses would rather do. So I think it's right here that I just got, now look at here. Just got to simply keep adding a little bit of pressure. And looky here. Ain't that getting nice? And like I said, I got him loading like this, sent him on several times. Now here's the finished product. Lead him right in, turn him around, shut the cut gate, and we left. So God bless you, and hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Hello and welcome today to Mark No Horsemanship. Here we are with Ringo. Ringo is a almost 2.5-year-old Dutch Warmblood. Ringo came to me to be started. He's been worked with on the ground some, and I think he's been saddled a couple of times, but nothing really to write home about. So I consider him a fresh start, other than knowing how to lead and being able to handle him and touch him and all that. But anything from that point on, I considered him a fresh start. So, but today we're just going to be working with Ringo. I got him on, went down and got him on, what day was it? Went down and got him on Friday. Today's Monday. And so I worked with him a little bit Friday when I got back, not much. And then I actually had to work with him there to get him loaded. And there's a video on that I'll try to get out in the next day or so. You'll probably, of course, you're already seeing this one. So evidently you'll see this one first, and then we'll get to one of him, the trailer loading video there at the facility where I picked him up. You'll get to see that. So if you see, like Ringo, he's always got to have something in his mouth. I don't mind one bit when they do that, to make the wrong thing difficult and the right thing easy. Like when he keeps putting that lead rope. That is a bad habit that he's got into. He's a little bit mouthy. They said his mother was similar to that, and just like right there, you might say, well, Mark, you're going to get that horse, scared. No, he needs to know that he needs to quit reaching down and grabbing a hold of that rope and chewing on it. But what we're going to be working on today with Ringo is just going to be some good old groundwork that I've already established with him a little, like I said, down there, because I had to work him on the ground to make the trailer a nice place to be. So when I picked him up, so we kind of got him started there on groundwork, and worked with him a little bit on Saturday. But my groundwork is probably a little bit different than most. Most people call it lunging. I don't call it lunging. I call it direct and drive. And the reason I call it that is because I don't just run these horses around in a bunch of mindless circles. Usually my direct and drive method is getting in their mind. It's teaching them discipline and control. And what I'm going to be doing, like if I go off to make him go to ask him to go to the left right here, I'm going to be putting pressure on this left shoulder and having him go. It's to my left, but it's to his right. So I'm going to be putting pressure on the point right here of this left shoulder right here. I'm going to be putting pressure there and asking that shoulder to go away from me first and then go around me. And you can see he's already a little apprehensive of me, but that's bad. It's okay. He'll figure all this out. And the reason he's doing this is because I've popped him a couple times with that rope. That chewing on that rope's got to stop. So, and like right there, he goes to wiggling them lips around again. He just needs to be patient and stand here and allow a feller like me that's got a lot of wind to finish what I'm saying. So I'm going to be putting on a little bit of pressure on this right shoulder to get him to go to my left, his right, and to go away from me and then around me. It's just all a part of learning how to be a citizen, learning how to be right there, learning how to be disciplined. So we're just going to get him moving around in here. Nothing fancy, just some good old correct lunging or direct and drive, whatever you want to call it. But you're going to see something that's going to be going on a little bit different right here than most. Is I'm going to have him a little bit closer right here. And I'm going to what? I'm going to be bumping that nose. He must learn. See, when I bump that nose, he don't know how to bend yet. So when I bump that nose, he thinks it means stop. But I'm going to drive him and hold that nose, drive him and hold that nose, drive him and hold that nose. And finally, right there, now he's starting to learn, I think if I just keep my nose to the center, towards the inside, he don't have to bump me. You know, it's all part of putting them in body positions to make for them to realize of what you're trying to teach them. Let me explain something to you. The quickest way to a horse's mind is through his feet. You're not going to get in his mind no other way but by asking him to do something with his feet and his body. The quickest mind. Let me rephrase that. The quickest way to a horse's mind is through his feet and through his body. So right here, he's giving me a little bit of what I wanted. Now I'm going to ask him to yield that hind quarter away from me, step away, and face up to me. That's just all out of respect and discipline. So once he stands for a moment and realizes that no bobcats is after him, no monsters is after him, and that we're all here to get along, then I'll repeat that or do the opposite, and I'll direct him to my right, his left, put pressure on this left shoulder or right shoulder, and send him out. Not a big deal. Don't take rocket science. And now the same thing this way. We're going to keep that nose bent to me and keep that forward momentum going. You can see he don't know how to bend. So when he don't know how to bend, he gets confused. It confuses him, and he just stops. So it's my job to teach him, look, you can go. You can keep your forward motion going, but you can be arced at your rib cage at the same time. So we're just going to, he's a little bit goofy in that right now. Right there now. Now he's starting to figure it out. Got that nose bent to me and that rear end. Look at that. Look at this inside back leg right here, the one closest to me. It's actually crossing over, which means that he's yielding his hindquarters and bending. That's what you want. It'll benefit him all the way through his life, especially for dressage, because he's got to learn how to cross his legs over to do a half pass, a side pass, all those moves that they do. He's got to realize that he can position his feet that way. So right here, we're just going to yield that hind quarter right there and ask him to step away from me.
Old big Ringo here, praise God, he's not mean or naughty, because he's too big to be mean and naughty. But he's just a big old boy. Like I said, he's not quite 2.5 years old yet, and just a little shy of it, like 2 and 4 months or something. And thank goodness that he's not mean and nasty, because it would be hard to work with a big horse like this. He's growing into himself. I know that his growth plates and all that hasn't fused together yet. I've been doing this long enough to know all the ins and outs, but what riding I'm going to do on him, I'm not a big guy. It's not going to hurt him. And if you can't accept that, then I'm sorry. But it's not going to hurt him. He's going to be all right. It's going to be fun getting on him for the first time. It's going to be real fun seeing how he acts with that big dead cow laying over there on the fence. That piece of leather you call a saddle. It's going to be real funny to see him take that for the first time. But it'll probably look like a kid's saddle on him. He's so big. But I love how he's being obedient. He's standing here. He hasn't budged. He's watching me. He's being very observant, and he's not. Main thing is he's coming out all that mouthing. He's not chewing on that rope and carrying on. So to kind of build a bridge to him trusting me, that every time I walk up to him, that he's not going to get corrected, because I've had to do that with the rope several times when he goes to chewing on it. And folks, that's a good little discipline thing right there. I don't know if you've seen how I did that or not, but I learned it on my own, and I don't mind to pass it to you. But if you can learn how to take the bottom part of that halter right there and sort of smack them under their chin right there with it on that underneath that bottom lip, I mean, it don't hurt them. Yeah, it gets their attention, but and it'll make them a little bit up in the head for a couple of days. But hey, I don't know how else. It's better than me walking up and smacking him with my hand. So he just needs to learn that rope is not to be messed with. Don't sit and fiddle with that rope. So the way I do it is I just walk up to him and let him know, look, you ain't always got to be worried about me. Now look at there. He's got a little scratch right here on his forehead. I don't know if y'all could even see it or not, but it's really superficial. It's nothing to worry about it. He got it on the trailer ride home. He'd never been on a trailer. Well, he had, but it'd been only a couple times, and it'd been a while. He was with his mama the first one time. So, I ain't going to say that he really even remembered it. But for him to be a big boy, a grown-up boy, and load on that trailer by himself, it took about, I guess it took about 45 minutes, but we finally got him. And you'll see the video. I'll post it here in a day or so. I had to splice them together because there was two. And anyway, so you'll get to see that. So now that he stood there and thought about that a minute, we're going to repeat this process right here. Send him out like there. Teach him to be soft. Just going to hold a little tension on this rope and drive him forward in this. Look at this inside back leg, how it crosses over. Now, when his head's correct and he's bent to me, y'all watch it. Y'all can watch it better than me from where you're sitting. And you'll see that leg really cross. When you see him traveling straight, like right there, then that means what? That means he's not bent. He's not putting his head on the inside. So right here, he needs a little cranky wake-up call. You can see him getting a little bit bored and a little bit, I don't want to go no more. So we got to get that crankiness out of him right there that he was trying to get. But now we'll go right back to the topic at hand, and that's bending. So right here, I'm just going to hold that nose and drive him forward. Now look at that inside back leg, how it's crossing over. Now I know the owner of this horse is going to understand this because she's a dressage, him and her both, husband and wife, they're both dressage people. So they're going to understand and probably appreciate this method of getting him to cross over behind. And if he stays with me long enough, I'll be able to get him in the same manner, in the same understanding with his front legs. So right there, we'll get him crossing over behind, get him bending, get him yielding his hindquarters, facing up to me. I'd like to get one more step out of him right there. Him facing up to me. And then we'll send him out the other way. And then we're going to do a little bit of desensitizing with him. Maybe put a bareback pad on him today and a little bit of a girth. And that'll probably be a pretty good session with him. So right here, I'm just going to point to my right, his left, send him out right there. He got a little bit of play in him, and that's okay. He's been in the stall since yesterday, so he has a right to be a little bit playful. Don't mind it, as long as it's not penny-eared and mean. Right here, we're going to bump this nose, drive him forward. It's amazing to me the horses that don't know how to bend and travel forward at the same time. And if you lunge a horse or direct and drive, whatever your terminology is for it or your method for it, and you don't teach them this, then shame on you. Every horse must learn to. That's why I don't care a lot for a lot of liberty. There's times that I do liberty work. It depends on why I'm doing it. But that's why I don't care for it all the time, because you really can't train their body. You can't use any kind of manipulation to get them to be acceptive and responsive in their body. See right here, he's getting cranky because he don't really like that bending, all this bending stuff. See, it's hard work for him. And I'm saying, hey, cry me a river. Right here, he just kind of had a little brain fart right there. But cry me a river. I don't care if you like it or not. And his hindquarters might be screaming right now. You know, this is a lot of work. So with that being said and keeping that in mind, we'll give him a little bit of break. Now you can see his hindquarters are all wobbly and spaghetti-like. That's because he don't have any strength in his hindquarters. And that's one thing I'd like to bring out about my horsemanship here. You know, a lot of people bring me horses and they want this done and that done. And this stuff takes time. You know, I had a dog trainer, and I won't mention his name right now, but I had a dog trainer that really capitalized that for me with horses. He was like, well, it sounds like to me that the first month you're just getting them conditioned, you know, physically conditioned to feel like doing what you're asking them to do. And that is true. You know, a lot of people will get these colts in here and they'll buck them out and they'll ride them and they send them home. And that horse is no more in shape than I am. And but I'm in decent order because I walk about 10 miles a day in this circle right here. But I'm just making a point that these horses, there's a certain time there that you have that you're actually conditioning them to where they actually feel like doing it. And that retaliation that I was just getting from him, I'm sure it was because when he's going around through there bent, let me tell you what's going on. Not only is he keeping his neck bent and his rib cage, but he's also crossing over, which puts that croup muscle right here, which goes down beside his tail. It's putting it in a compromising situation to be able to, for position, compromising the position to be able to put that foot in front of the other. He's got to dip that croup muscle under him, which is pulling on that muscle in a way that's never been pulled on before. You don't see them pulling on their croup muscles just naturally out in the field. So that tells me right there that he has, you know, he's got a long ways to go on conditioning his hindquarters. You might say, well, why do you always talk about the hindquarters? Because I do. Because I believe that that's what needs to be conditioned the most and worked on the most. Not necessarily just for being physical shape, but the hindquarter is what tells the whole body what to do. Actually, essentially, the mind is what tells the body what to do. But the mind tells the hindquarters what to do. So if you can get control of the hindquarters, then essentially you're getting control of the mind. So that's why I go to the hindquarters. Everything that a horse does stems from or is rooted from the hindquarters. That's where the motor's at. Everybody worries about the front end. The front end's easy. I can manipulate it. I can pull it around everywhere. But you can't put a halter on their hindquarters. So the hindquarters is harder to get. You got to get control of the hindquarters through the mind. You can't get control of the hindquarters necessarily physically. There's ways you can by roping a foot or something like that, but that's not the case here. What I'm trying to get control of is for him to yield to me. My presence must mean something to this horse. So we'll go off this way one more time just to see where we're at with it and get him to yield to bend right here, like right here. Now, after I sat and explained all that, y'all watch of how we're putting that croup muscle right here that goes down by his tail in a compromising situation. You can see him getting a little bit cranky, and I don't care. He's all right. But by him crossing over, it's stretching that croup muscle, that gaskin muscle, that his hock, all them tendons in there are being a little bit stretched more than they normally are. Look at him crawl. He's going way deep now. He's going way deep with this inside. Look at there. So that's the reason I like to condition it. Now, if you do it too much, then you get them so sore that they'll retaliate the next day because they're mad. They're like, hey, nuh-uh, man, you got me so sore I can't even walk. I've actually worked a horse, a fresh horse, a 2-year-old, without getting them sweaty and without getting them running around with their nostrils flaring, but I've actually worked their hindquarters in a way, like I just showed you, that the next day I got them out, they were actually a little bit like, stoved up sore because they're not used to their hindquarters being worked that way. So that proves me right there that I'm doing something good. So to get him out a little bit of this apprehensiveness of me, this is where I start just desensitizing. And all I'm going to do is just flip this rope on him. And it's not hurting him. It's just a black cotton rope. But to him, he thinks it's the end of the world. So I'll just sit here and flip this rope. He's got to really know how to handle all this. Because why? Because, hey, you got to get a saddle on him. I got to get on him. So until he can handle a rope being flipped across his back, there ain't no use in me doing anything else. What I did just now of teaching him to direct and drive was just to get a little bit of energy out of him and to get him focusing on me. Now, I'm doing this like it ain't nothing. I'm talking to y'all while I'm doing it, but this is because of years of experience. Now, look at him. He's starting to sell it. What is he doing right here? He's starting to think, wait a minute. I don't feel any pain. It makes a funny noise, but I don't feel any pain. And I think I just need to accept it. Now, right here, he can't get on top of me. He's trying to get away from that rope on the other side, and he's crouching my way. And I still got to establish in him that he just needs to behave, stand here like a big boy, pull your big boy pants up, and get along with it. Right here, I'll start correcting him for it. Like, hey, try. At least try to stand here. Like right there, I'll bump him. At least try to stand here. Now he's starting to get it. Right there, he's licking them lips just a little bit. Now looky here. Now he's realized, hey, I don't guess that thing going across my back is a big deal. Now personally, just to share with the owners and to share with you all out there, I personally wouldn't have had a saddle on him yet if he couldn't handle this. So and they've admitted to me that they usually buy horses that are, trained, and they're good horse people. I'm not doubting their experience or their knowledge, but she told me that this is their first time getting a colt and starting it and doing all this with it. So so they're innocent on their behalf. But I'm just saying, to teach them and you all, unless you can take a rope, a simple thing of a rope, and toss it across their back, then I don't know why in the world you'd worry about saddling one. So now I got that area right there done. I'm going to go back here to the hindquarters. Get all this top line right here desensitized. Now remember, we got to go to the other side, which is usually the same thing all over again. It's what you hear of 2 eyes, 2 brains. So you can see that skeleton going down right there. He's lowering that head. That would be an awesome place to quit right there on that side and give him a little bit of a thinking moment. But we won't let him think too much, and then we'll get over here and we'll get this other side desensitized. Might be as far as we get with Ringo today. I've learned that these short, to-the-point sessions, they go a whole lot longer than sweating, nostrils flaring, and dust flying, and me sweating too. And a lot of this, what I'm doing, a lot of people maybe think I talk too much, and that's your prerogative to think that, and it don't bother me if you do. And I do talk a lot, I admit it, but I'm not just talking to you all because I talk a lot. I'm using this time to explain to you, but I would be standing here this long even if I didn't have you all to talk to. So this soak time right here is very important. You can see what it's done to him. He'll be just as jello and mushy-minded when I get done here in another 10 minutes or so than ever. He'll just be what I call standing here mushy-minded, just all mushy-brained. Because why? Because he's thinking. I've exercised his brain. I haven't done it through his body. And that's key right there. So now we'll move over here to his other side. You can see he's already worried about it, and that's okay. And I'm just going to start flipping on this side. Like I said, usually it's not as long to get them used to it on the other side, but they still will react as if they've never had it even done on the other side. The only trouble is with doing it this side, I'm not quite as coordinated because it's my left, but I do the best I can. Sometimes I smack them a little bit with the rope because I'm just not as good with my left hand. But we get it done. That's the main thing. See, right here, it didn't take as long, now did it? Now, on that other side, it took a few more minutes because it was the first time. Much better. Just waiting on his appearance to change here. I think he's pretty well over it, but he hasn't realized it yet. Now, when he realizes that this is not bothering him, he'll show a sign. Either lower his head. There goes his head. I like it that he's actually looking on that side when I'm doing it. That means a lot right there. That tells me he's not going to be hard to get used to things being in both eyes. In other words, me being on his back. That tells me he's got a pretty good brain. So right here, he lowered that head again. I'm going to let that be the judgment call on quitting. You might say, okay, now what, Mark? Well, I'll be honest with you. We got a lot done right there. We got a whole lot done. So what I might spend time here working with him on, we got a little bit of direct and drive going. We got a little bit of being able to toss that rope over his back, a little bit of desensitizing, if you will. So now let's work on a little bit of pressure and release here. Lateral pressure. Let's just hold him right here and see if we can get a little bit of this done today. Might not take very long. It might take 2 hours. I'm not going to spend that much time with him. Used to be I would. I'd hang in here until it took that. But I've learned that you can find a good place to quit and just pick up on the next day. The only thing doing this little technique is you got to keep them off your feet. So right here, all he's doing is searching. Whenever you take a horse's head away from him, you take away his balance. Some people say it right there. Some people say it scares them not to do it. Well, I ain't going to disagree with you that it don't scare them a little bit. But what I disagree with is quitting, because, I mean, why are we so scared to scare him? I mean, it's not hurting him physically. And to me, all it's doing is creating a more balanced horse, because he's learning how to balance with his head taken away, which, is going to help the farrier. It's going to help you when you go to get on him. Anytime you can better a horse's balance, I don't see nothing wrong with it. So now that I quit where I quit at, now look. Now he's better at learning what to do. Right there, he about got on my foot. You got to watch these big, long Dutch Warmbloods, and then you also got to watch a walking horse. A quarter horse ain't so bad to get on your foot because they're more short coupled, but these boogers right here, when they take a step, it's about 4 foot long. So you got to be careful. Right there. Now look at there. Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that nice? I'm going to do it one more time on that side. And then I'm going to ask him this time when he does it, I'm going to ask him to yield his hindquarters, because I always like to start incorporating lateral flexion to their feet as soon as I can, just as quickly as I can. So let's get him to laterally bend right here. Now look at there. Now I'll ask him to what? Move that hindquarter over. Look at there. I'm going to wait on him to step in front of himself right there, and right there. Right there. Good. That's pretty good stuff. Pretty tickled with that. That's a good boy, Ringo. You're doing good, buddy. Now, this is different than probably what the owners are going to have been around, and that's okay. I hope they learn something from this. I'm hoping that this will open up a door to maybe helping a few more of these people out with their big dressage horses like him, because I believe personally it don't matter the discipline that a horse is going to have. But this learning how to be a citizen is what I do is so important. The fundamentals, the foundation of a colt, no matter the breed, of a 2-year-old. I like 2-year-olds, 2 to 2.5-year-olds, 3 sometimes, but I'd rather start them. There's something about the sponge effect of their mind at 2 and 2.5 years old. I know sometimes they're not developed, and it's dangerous to do a lot with them. But I love that sponge effect, I call it, of being able to absorb things in their mind the way they do at this age. This is, to me, a perfect age to really start putting things into their mind. You don't have to keep riding them. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Because I start them at this age doesn't mean they're going to be ridden from here on out. I believe in turning them out, letting them grow. Now, what these owners do is their business. All I can do is recommend it. But I always recommend putting a good, solid foundation, and the time of that foundation depends on the horse. This horse may not take but 3 months to get a good, solid foundation on him to where I could take him back and let him grow till all winter and bring him back this spring. But he might take 6 months to get that good, solid foundation on him. It don't really matter as long as it's a good foundation before you quit him. And then let him grow. So right here, we're going to come to this side. We're going to ask him to bend this way. Now that he knows what I want, it's not going to be that hard for him to figure out. But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. It's got to be a equal balance here. Now right here, this is a balance thing. This is not a stubborn thing because he don't know what I'm asking anyway. So it can't be a stubborn thing. It's more of a balance thing. Now we got a tractor going by right here. We'll just see how he handles that for a moment, and then we'll get back to work. So he handled it pretty good. He just needed to look at it. But right here, this is not a stubborn thing. This is a balance thing. So right here, we're just going to keep asking. He'll get tired of going in circles, and he'll find the answer. See, right here, he's searching. He's like, how can I get this little bit of pressure on my nose from this halter to go away? And if I were to quit him anywhere other than right here, this is where he's going to resort to every time. I've got to learn where to quit him at. The quitting is where they learn, not the doing. He's almost there. Right there. Good boy. So we'll walk away from that and let him know that that's exactly the answer. About done with old Ringo here. Y'all just hang on for another 5 minutes. All right, let's go back to work right here. Ask him to bend. See, once they get it, look how good they get it. Ringo's a smart dude. He's going to be I ain't going to say he's going to be an easy student, but he's going to be a pleasurable student to work with because he wants to cooperate. You get them in here that don't know anything and they don't want to know anything. They don't want to learn. Now that's a bad combo, and it makes for a long day here in the barn. But you get these students that want to learn. Now right here, he's done it 3 times. I'm a man of 3s. So now we'll ask him to move that hindquarter. Look at that, how pretty. For him to never, I'm waiting on him to go in front though. This back leg right here needs to, right there. Let's see if we can get it right there, right there. Oh, one more, come on. I like to get 3 in a row, but 1, 2, and 3. Good. And why do I do things in 3s? I don't know. I always have since I've started this, and I know I picked up on it about 5 years after I started doing it as a profession, that there was something about doing something that they've never done 3 times in a row that they really learned from. And don't think that that's a guaranteed go-to. That's just something that I do. You can do it if you want. I'm not saying that, but it's just something that I've picked up on. But it has to be 3 correct times in a row. So in other words, if you start with 1 and they do it correctly, and you get to 2 and they do it incorrectly, then the next time you're starting over with 1 again. It has to be, the way I think about it, it has to be 3 correct times in a row. So, and again, I'm not saying that there's something magical to that or mystical. I'm just saying. So let's move him around one more time here. Just at a nice little steady way. You can see by me bending him on the ground. Now looky here. Look at that. That nose being bent. See how you're developing a horse when you're doing this? I hope there's someone out there that can see what I'm laying down right here. I hope you can pick up what I'm laying down of how it don't have anything to do with wearing them out or running them in a bunch of circles as much as it does. You're teaching them how to position their body for control. Get that. It's all about manipulating the body. But I see a lot of people just running them around, letting them buck and go crazy and carry on. That's not what my goal is. And that's why I refuse sometimes to call it lunging, because I don't want to be put in the category of the way most people, now don't take that the wrong way, I'm just being honest with you, of the way most people lunge a horse. This is not lunging. This is teaching body manipulation and body placement, footfall, It's teaching more than just lunging around in a bunch of circles. Teaching him how to use his body in more of a correct way of being in the human world. The things that's going to be asked from him all through his life from this day forward. Right there. Right there. So I hope all that made sense. I thought about going to the bareback pad today, and I think I'll save that for another day. I may not video it, and I just want to remind these owners and some other people out there that I don't video every single day with every horse. I like that right there. He saw me gathering my rope up, and he was ready to please. He got ready to go. A lot of people say, "Oh, you got that poor horse scared." No, I got him thinking. I got him thinking about me. But I don't do every day as much as I do just highlights. Just things that, like this is a highlight because I just got him in, and it's really his first real session. I worked with him Saturday and Sunday just a bit, just to exercise him. But today, now Saturday and Sunday, I did just lunge him. But today is the first day that I actually put thought into it and a method into it, and ask his body to be manipulated in a certain way. But I only do highlights. I don't do every day with him. So just keep your eye open for him. There'll be more videos. All the other owners that I have in the barn right now, if you have a horse with me, I'm still working with them, and of course, but you'll be seeing some videos on them this week as well. So, but I just really, truly appreciate you all watching. I noticed the other day that I have reached the 10,000 followers. I'm over 10,000 followers now on Facebook, and I definitely don't say that braggingly. I say it humbly, but I just want to say to each 10,000 of you that are following me, I really do appreciate you all, and I thank you for following along and all the wonderful comments that you send me. It's really encouraging. I need it. I appreciate you watching the sermons in the barn and all the preaching sermons that I do when I preach in churches. I appreciate all that. I'd like to see, here's what I'd like to see though while I'm talking to you about it. I'd like to see the views of the sermons in the barn and the other sermons that I do. I'd like to see them as high as the horse videos. Like the other day I did a video and I think on Slate, the Blue Roan, and before midnight that night I had over 1,000 views, which I'm honored. I'm tickled. I thank you. But like the sermon in the barn that I put on there, it's been on there for a couple of days now, and it's just now over 200 or maybe 300 views, which, hey, I'm thankful for. I'm not complaining. But it's my goal to see the sermons in the barn get as many views as the horse videos, because that's what my true calling is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And while I'm talking about that, if you're out there and you're lost and you don't know Him as your personal Lord and Savior, in other words, if you haven't asked Him into your heart, confessed with your mouth, and believed in your heart, then I encourage you to do that today. He said Himself, Jesus did, that today is the day of salvation. And if you feel the Holy Spirit tugging at your heart that you need to do something, you may not even know what to do, but if you'll just reach out and grab a hold of that nail-scarred hand and tell Him, I don't really know what to do. He knows you better than you do. He already knows it. And just say, I don't really know what to do, but I'm willing to learn. But first, I want to tell you that I'm sorry for the things I've done. I'm sorry for my sins. I ask you to forgive me of them. I believe in you, that you are the Son of God, and that you came to this earth to be the ultimate sacrifice for me, for us, for the whole world. And I believe that you was buried and rose again on the third day. Hey, you're saved if you say that. You don't need a preacher. You don't need anybody. You got who you need, and that's Jesus Christ. So I encourage you today, if you feel the tugging, that draw has to be there. I want to put emphasis on that. That draw of that Holy Spirit. The Bible says that. It's a drawing of the Holy Spirit. But if you feel that drawing in your heart of the Holy Spirit, then I encourage you to give your heart to Him before it's too late. I appreciate you watching, and God bless you.